or Scotland 16 Blaze in England. What we're bringing you today is the subject of the old EDCs. Not necessarily the actual items within it, but how they evolve over time. Obviously, I'm a big endorser, advocate, whatever, of Dave Canterbury, and he had a carabiner kit which you hang on his belt. I sort of turned that into a keyring kit on a reasonable sort of carabiner, and Joe's going to show me his in a minute. Now, the problem that I had was I'd have this set of gear hanging off of this snap link thing here. You know, a capsule for tinder, a ferro rod, and this thing's all clanking together, and all that weight, when I was using it with the car keys, I don't know whether you know, but a lot of AA men come to cars that won't start, and the reason is because the key goes in the ignition lock and weighs down on the pin. It was getting to the point when not only I had this thumping great lump in my pockets, but I knew I was going to be putting undue stress on the ignition lock. So what I've adopted, and you saw in a couple of videos what I was wearing, was a very cheap camera pouch, which my kit's in now. I'm finding that easier to wear. All I've got to do is change it onto the belt if I change the trousers. The kit I'm carrying now, the items that you hardly ever use, you're hardly ever using, because you just put it in a different thing like that, whilst you're not got the hampering effect of the massive great lump of keys. Now all I've got in here is a steel of fire, cigarette lighter with a few Ranger bands on, and a candle. First pouch in, basically fire set. Doesn't really matter if it gets that wet, because I've always got the fire still and a Ranger band. So that's the first little set there. And once you get inside, a few plasters, paracetamol, antihistamine. This is obviously, some people suffer from bee stings, allergic reactions, so I've got a first aid kit in there. I've got the Phoenix E01, which isn't getting clacked to bits on the keys. There now is my capsule for fire tinder, so it's in a zip pocket in one of those alley things with a ring on it. My Swiss Army knife clone, so I don't get love and hate. Awesome. And it should be there, some steri strips. So 4 items of first aid. Okay, signalling. And I'll also class a fire steel as signalling, along with a torch. The thing about the fire steel, and this is something I left a message with on here Swanmore Hall, was showing off a cool fire piston. Now, I've used fire pistons in the past, and those things that you plunge down the sort of diesel engine effect, but I find it's a one-trick pony for me. That piece of kit is quite bulky. That piece of kit needs Vaseline, that piece of kit needs good O-rings, that piece of kit needs murder dry tinder, and you've got to be able to do that over and over. You know, it's physically demanding. I wouldn't say demanding, but the last thing you want to do is start thumping the top of this thing or turn upside down and do it on a block. Whereas if you had a fire still, for me, first of all, it takes up even less room. Yes, you might lose your striker, but you've got other things in your kit you could use. Plus, signalling, if you were lost in a ditch at night and you were throwing sparks, once I get through the black, you know, anywhere in the world recognises that you ain't going to get that with a fire piston. So if I was going to have one choice, I'd go for that over a fire piston. But you know, that was a nice bit of kit, because inside of it they naturally milled it out. They put a ferro rod in it anyway, so they cover all bases. But the fire piston on its own I wouldn't actually go for. So that's my new kit. I'll stop the camera and then we'll pass on to John. John. So many men in the woods, you know. pass over to Joe and I'll show you his new one. It's, as with Joe, it's slick, it's trick, it does the job. Over to Joe in a bit.
Well, Scott's gone through his EDC, I might as well go through my new one, my work in progress. Got it all on one of those true utility keychains. Got a little key fob there. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 little carabiners on it. See there? Not bad. Right, let's go for what's on my first one. My little tinder kit. There's a squirrel. A couple of squirrels.
Just grunting away here.
They're running this way. There you go.
Stupid squirrel.
Anyway, enough of the squirrels.
Better the deer, but hey.
Tinder. What I got in this one. Just for the sake of having tinder, really. Little true utility Zippo style lighter. Flint and big Zippo fuel. A little wick there. Swipe the wheel.
Oh, wait, we're winning. There he is.
The light, because of the wind, it's blowing that way. Works well enough. With an O-ring on it as well. Means it's waterproof. It's absolutely brilliant because you don't want your wick or your flint getting wet. Little true utility 3 LED torch. This got from the guys in Zippo. It's a little fuel cell. Everything you need on there, apart from a place to put a wick. Little piece of metal there to undo the screw to put a new flint in. There's a flint in there. I'm not going to get it out because I'll probably lose it here. So just one flint in there. Undo this. You get another lid which you take off. You can see there. You dispense fuel through that. It's got fuel in it, so let's get it back up before it all evaporates. The usual thing that happens. And the last little bit on there, little, get that out of the way, little multi-tool in the shape of a key. Open out like that. There you go. 2 blades on there. It's a chisel type blade. You can see there. Straight edge and serrated. Bottle opener. Phillips screwdriver head. You can use this bit here, tweezers, if you want to. If you wear glasses or you've got sunglasses, there's a little screwdriver there to adjust them with, and you've got a larger one there, and you can lock it open for a long blade or use of the Phillips. And if you want to put it back on the keychain, just put it in that loop and click it, and there it is. Happy as Larry. As I said, this is a work in progress. I haven't got everything that I like on there at the moment. I do usually keep it on my keys, that's what that one's for. Hook on my keys. I've taken them off at the moment because I don't need them here. So it could be used for other things. I'm probably going to put a ferro rod on there at some point, and I might change a few things around, but for a start, pretty good, I think. Any comments on that? Post them to either myself or on this video, and I'll have a look at them and see if I can incorporate it onto this.
Right, so here we are. Basically we've set up the camel and we're settling down in order to process the firewood. It's sort of things like this where you've done it enough times that you fail to appreciate the tasks that we're doing, and you get bashing of doing there. And someone watching the video is not saying, isn't aware of why we're doing what we're doing. Okay, for those people who've been out in the woods and sort of dabble with it, the processing theory of what I'm doing is to get to the inside of the wood. it's anything that's got anything to do with water, it's going to kill flames, going to kill the fire, it's going to kill the heat. So what you try and do is get to the inside of the wood. And this is my batten, got another good one there, that's a lot heavier. So I can't put a cigarette lighter and burn that, okay? I've got to get down into this to get to wood on the inside, but moisture around me on the floor hasn't invaded the cells of the wood, okay? It's not just getting into the drier section, you've got to get the surface area up. Because what we've got to do is we've got to get the wood to achieve a temperature of just an arbitrary figure of 800 degrees, and then what happens is the wood, as a cellular structure, gives up atoms into the gaseous form, which burst into flame off of a fire. They can actually burst into flame off of just heat. Alright? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this burn by breaking it down into smaller pieces. Now, the way you're doing it is, if you wanted to try and use something that was probably the wrong tool for the job, it would be something along the lines of this, which is my Mauser Bano. Now, yes, this will chop the wood. So let's drop that down a little. I could literally sit here quite happily going, and eventually in 20 minutes I'm going to get through. The problem is I'm burning energy all the time. Okay? A far more efficient way of getting through there is with a slightly different tool. He's very small that way, and by the time that you get the thickness of the blade down to a point, he's a real wedge. This would have far more ability in splitting the wood long ways. So if I cut that down with something a little more suitable, maybe something like a thinner blade with a bigger relief cut, I can actually take wedges out of it. That one isn't really going to want a wedge. So that bites, that bites, that bites. Okay, so now I'm through. This could be quite good at splitting the wood, because now I've got it down to a manageable piece. Something that long is going to have knots in it, and to try and split it with all these branch bits coming off is going to be a complete pain. But coming down to something this size might be a little bit easier going through at this length. Now if you can see that it's got a real wedge, triangular wedge shape to it, and you lay it across the log, as it were, like that. Now I'm going to apply force with something else. Now they call this a baton in England, a baton in the USA. Same thing. I'm going to whack the back of that knife. There's a big school of thought that says that that's abuse of the knife. Nah, mate. If the steel goes through, and I'm hitting that, the energy is delivered straight down. In my opinion, it should take it. If I started hitting it there, and it was stopped off at this way, I'm actually putting a force this way, it wants to break and shear off that way. But here, that's going straight down. Now it's in as far as it'll go, I can't hit it on the top anymore. I've got to transfer it, so I'm going to hit it here. I'm not going to hit it on the end, I'm going to hit it here. Whilst I'm hitting it there, it wants to tip up. So what I'm going to do is also bear down on the handle. And eventually, you can see what's happening already, the wood has to give. So, and I'm through. Now, tools like this have been used for years. They're called throws, or splitting wedges, where the log will be chainsawed up, put on a log like this, you put this huge great metal wedge, and you hit it with a big sledgehammer and it would just explode. That's what I'm doing. So now, I've pinged open the wood. I'm now getting to the inside. I can now do it again. So imagine I don't go like that. I get my baton. I'm hitting it on the top, straight through again. So there. Then I go bang, whilst I'm there and there. It has to give. So that is a £20 knife I bought in a boot sale. Okay, so let's get the frog right on that. There he is in his scabbard. There's the one I've reprofiled. £12 new. Okay, you haven't got to spend hundreds of pounds to do a half decent job. Now I'll try and get that in the middle. So that goes there. There's the same baton. Club it against the spine in the middle. I can't hit it there anymore. I've got to move there. Bear down on this side. There it goes. Okay? And you just get smaller and smaller until you get down to pencil sized wood. We'll see in a bit, and we'll see why I'm breaking it down into smaller pieces. Okay, so before I get loose on that one, as I've chopped it down into pieces of wood sort of this size, what I'm going to show you now is what they call feathering. I'm going to, on this knife I can actually put my hand right up against it, there's no edge. And what I'm going to do is take slivers, basically, feathers, or feathers edge. It goes like that. Now you can get feathered wood with huge, great long trails on it and all like this. And then what it's doing is breaking the surface area of the wood down. See that rolling off of there like that? What you're trying to do is, the flame will catch that. Have a lighter on you, sir?
Yeah.
So I'm catching that sharp edge of that triangle there.
Remember, this is my zip out. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Now, to catch the end of that wood, just down a bit more, Joe. That's probably not going to make it. But those fluffy edges, okay, is starting to go because there's less mass and there's less area in terms of trying to cope with it in one go. It's using loads and loads of little tiny little feathers of wood, and that'll catch a damn sight easier than logs. So we're going to end up trying to get busted up tinder, so like think cotton wool, and we go to very fine twigs, and then we could go to maybe feather sticks or something else later on, and then these things, but again, which is like fuel, actual fuel. This you ain't going to start with a lighter, but busted up stuff you can, and that's what we're getting into the wood for. If we started to cut green wood down, you ain't going to have much luck with it because there's still too much moisture in it. Now, you all know about glockenspiels and wooden xylophones. When you hit them, it has a ring and a tone to it, because if you just imagine microscopic straws going up and down on here, it's like tone tubes. So if I bash these together, you should end up with a dinging noise. Okay, it's resonant because there's hardly any water in it, and the sound's travelling up and down. So when you split the wood apart, if you get that lovely noise, it's probably a lot drier than stuff that's green. The other thing is to put your finger against it and see if it's warm easily in your hand, because you're fighting, your body heat is fighting the water that's in it. So put your finger against it, or your cheek against it like that, and it's warm in a few seconds. There's hardly any moisture in it, and that's what you're after.